Thanks. Let me see. You guys good to go? Check 1, 2. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our township meeting. This is a special Oh, sorry, Stavros. We're good. Okay. This is our special meeting for tonight, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. In attendance tonight, we have Supervisor Erler, Supervisor Ekman, Supervisor Albert, Supervisor Friedman, and I'm Supervisor Birmingham. So we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. Tonight's meeting consists, before we do that, have all the supervisors seen the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll open it up for public comment. Nick, are you keeping time?
Yeah.
Okay. 3 minutes for public comment. Just come up to the front of the podium, give your name, and the floor is yours. So that being said, Fran, come on up, and then Ron.
You know me, I do a lot of research and stuff. So I found this.
Oh, you have to give your name, Fran.
Oh, Fran Visicaro. This is information I think you guys might be interested in to help the town if we have this data center. And it covers the air pollution, noise pollution, what are the impacts, and the key practices to reduce harm. I'm sorry, I only thought 2 of the members were going to be here. So I only have 2 of these.
I can make copies.
Okay, it's like 30 pages. Yeah, it's all one. This is all one. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. I said what I wanted to say.
Oh, you're done.
So,
Good.
yeah, well, not yet, because I still have what? A minute and a half?
So are you done?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just wanted to give you
Oh, okay.
information. I think it's good. I hope you all read it too.
Ron, come on up.
You sure you're done, Fran?
No.
Oh, I don't interrupt. Good evening. I have things well documented in case you would want to question what I'm about to say.
Who are you again?
Oh, Ron
They're
Angle.
having trouble hearing. Are you saying you're having trouble hearing? Who? Ron up front?
Ron Angle, $1 Million Highway, State of Pennsylvania, County of Northampton, and a proud United States citizen. Now, facts. Thank you. April 29, 2024, and I'll dig it out because I want to show you exactly what the documents are, so you can't question me, but you can't question the documents. The zoning officer, Tina, zoning determination letter, River Point Logistics Center. I underlined what's the most important. The parcels are located in the I-2 General Industrial District and the I-3 Heavy Industrial District. So whatever goes down there, it's industrial. The zoning officer has determined the proposed data center is permitted by right, and which it is. We got to live by laws in this country. It's the only thing that keeps us going. Now, I'm going to read from an ordinance that I think is very important. It's a 1925 or the 2025 ordinance, and basically this ordinance says, what's that? You know, the copy I have doesn't have a number on it, oddly enough, and I don't know why it doesn't, but it's irrelevant. It's definitely a township ordinance.
What's the date, Ron?
Actually, it's funny you should say that. It's signed on the back by there's nothing on there either. But this is a township ordinance. I've got it from the township, so it's a township ordinance. That clearly spells out what can be down there, and it basically says you could have a data center there. And I think that's very important. Then I go to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, a new date. May 9th, 2025. The Lehigh Valley Planning Commission said, the proposal amends the township zoning ordinance by adding definitions and regulations for data center land uses. Data centers have been expanding across Pennsylvania, which they have. Keep in mind, I just said this was actually made in May 9th, 2025. The Lehigh Valley Planning Commission is better on dates, I think, than the township maybe. They had their date on there. Emerging in the Lehigh Valley, and when cited appropriately, support the region's technology revolution and economic base of our overall sustainability.
Wait, hold on. Guys. He was fumbling through pages. Give him a little time.
I'm citing facts from the township, by the way.
Anyway, guys, hold on. We'll give Ron 1 minute since he was shuffling through papers.
And it tells you about addressing noise performance, and it's a campus-type development. Very correct, okay? Now again, May 12th, 2025, the supervisors meeting, you did at that meeting say on record you were in favor of a data center. Mr. Freeman made the motion for the data center, and I'll later bring up Mr. Freeman as to what the problems are. But he made the motion to support a data center for the people who don't understand that. Get in public records. 30 more seconds. As of yesterday, you were served by a Pittsburgh law firm to have the zoning hearing board convened. Now, for some people who maybe don't understand, the zoning hearing board is what's considered quasi-judicial. It actually is not legislative, it's the law end of the things, for a hearing involving this situation. So you have on the agenda tonight a curative amendment. That curative amendment, whether there happens to be 5 votes or not, I don't know. You can pass a curative amendment all you want. The bottom line is that curative amendment has no bearing whatsoever on the proposed project by Talon Energy, not some podunk place in Kunkletown. This is Talon Energy and Mr. Pecker. And they can do what they want there. You've okayed it yourself in your own regulations. The Lehigh Valley Planning Commission recommended it.
Wrap it up.
But I'm going to finish up right now.
Ron.
I want to finish up.
No, Ron, come
okay.
on.
What
You've
we've
gone
lost,
over
I'm going
time.
to go right on. What we've lost here, though, 10 seconds, I can be done. What we've lost here is, for you people who don't know this in the audience, is Mr. Freeman, who's turning away from you. That gentleman there
Ron.
was negotiating.
Nick. No.
I just got 3 minutes from him.
We're
No problem.
We're not passing 3 minutes.
He negotiated with Talon and Pecker, and he thought he could get rid of them by demanding $50 million. They went in the back room. You sat there, Mr. Birmingham. They went in the back room and come out and said,
That's
you know
enough.
what? We'll
Ron,
meet the $50 million.
sit down.
He was trying
Stavros,
to
cut off his mic.
destroy this. And again, you should have had professionals
Nick.
negotiating that benefit.
Come on, Ron.
Nick.
Ron.
You should have had professor. Your economic development committee put it down.
Ron, you're being disorderly.
Nick.
Come on, Ron.
And nowhere's,
Nick.
Sonny, shut up.
Shut his mic
And
off.
nowhere's in all of this. Your solicitor could have advised you as to what to do.
Mike can go back on.
You people can play the games you want.
1, 2.
$50 million.
Anybody else? Public comment.
Negotiation.
Now, first of all, I'd like to respond to Mr. Rangel with his lies. This board was never against the data centers. What this ordinance would do was regulate data centers. That's all it would do. We knew they were coming in. We knew it. We were accommodating Amazon. We were talking to them. Shut up. I can't say any plainer than that, Mr. Angle. You had your turn. It's my turn. So that's it. You know, this board was this ordinance was to regulate data centers, not keep them out. Let's get that straight. Okay?
Ron, your time is up, Ron. Ron.
He opened the door.
Ron. Nick.
You want to hear this, Mr. Burrow?
You can call me at a different day.
$50 million. $50 million. We closed the
Anybody else? Public comment.
That gavel and straighten this audience
John, call to order.
Mike and then Marty. Nick, are you packing?
On New Frac, Summerfield Drive, Mount Bethel. John, I just really have a question.
Yeah.
I understand, because NDAs...
Oh, did you give your name, Mike?
I did
Okay,
give
sorry.
it. I'll give it again if you'd like.
No, we're good.
NDAs seem to be a big thing going on all over the place. And I understand why a developer or a company wants supervisors to sign an NDA. I get that. Because they don't want us to know what the hell's going on. What is the advantage for you guys to sign an NDA? What do you get out of it other than us saying you're not freaking transparent? So what do you get? What's the reason why
None
you
of
would
us have
sign?
signed an NDA.
Pardon me?
None of us have signed an NDA.
Did you not sign one going back with Amazon?
Oh, with Amazon we did.
So that's my
But
question.
not for the current.
What do you get by signing an NDA?
did
What's
not.
the benefit?
I have to make a correction on that because even when AWS came to the door the first time, I was not asked, and I did not sign an NDA. So,
I would refuse to sign any NDAs.
Yes. So let's fix that record that back then, AWS, I was not asked. I'm tired of being accused of signing one.
Well, I didn't accuse anybody.
No, I know, but on the
Corey,
internet.
that's not my question is why would you guys sign an NDA? What is the benefit of the town supervisors signing an NDA?
Because you know why? Most likely, if my guess is correct, is because of all the arguing and everything that happens. A business with a reputable name, they don't want all that tied to them. So if they're trying to come in and do things, and this is just my coming just as maybe uneducated for this, but it's so that way there's not, a Talon or an AWS getting the harassment like everybody has received on social media and things moving forward. That's just my guess.
That may be, Corey, but what you do, and I'm just not saying you did sign one or you will sign one tomorrow. My question just is, why would any supervisor in any town put themselves in the position where the residents are going to jump down your throats for not being transparent?
Well, the NDA only goes to a certain point, and Ron, maybe I'll have you come in from a legal perspective, but if a company like Talon is going to want to put a data center in Upper Mount Bethel Township and they're talking to the supervisors, they're going to ask the supervisors to sign. They may or they may not. But typically they would ask the supervisors to sign an NDA so we don't go around and say to our buddies, hey, Talent Energy's coming and they're going to give us a whole bunch of money for a data center. They don't want the competition to find out that, hey, they're coming here. And what the supervisors say is, we'll sign an NDA, but at a certain point, we've got to tell the people what's going on. And this NDA is no longer going to apply. Anything you want to add, Ron?
The only other thing I can say is that obviously the developer, or just say two contracting parties, whether it's the developer or the township or just two private individuals, et cetera, they want to obviously keep matters private until such time as an agreement has been reached. The problem with saying, okay, well, this is what we're going to do without having it finalized can just cause additional time and unexpended energy, because someone may say, well, this is something we don't want. And if it was on a non-disclosure, that might go away by the time the final draft is done. So all of the argument about something that people may not want was never going to be anyway. So it's just meant to try to make sure that whatever the final item is that's brought to public is going to be free of any of those issues going back and forth, so as to obviously keep the matter on an even keel and only have items objected to that are relevant.
Okay. I asked.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm not happy with the answer, but that's the way it is.
Marty.
Marty Penner, Lindsay Lane, Mount Bethel. So I just want to add on to that for Mike. So in my line of work, I've had to sign NDAs, especially when we're looking at merging with another company or we're purchasing one. We just had a large acquisition that was $8.5 billion, which was in the works for well over 2 years. We could not say anything. Any companies that the township may be dealing with or anybody else that's publicly traded is a Fortune 100, 200, 500. You will probably have to sign NDAs because of them being publicly traded, because any leak, anything like that, number one, will absolutely destroy any type of process that they are doing, any type of protection and their plans moving forward into certain areas or whatnot. That's just the way that a lot of these big companies, and it's almost a requirement. And it's unfortunate that in a municipality, they've elected you to be able to speak for us. I have no problem with you guys signing an NDA. I don't. I really don't. Because I know that you're going to act in the best interest of the township. I have no problem with that. Much like other people that when they ask to sign NDAs, it's in best interest for a good outcome. My question is, outside of that, and now just to question the board, is on Tuesday I'm on Facebook, and next thing I know, I see a post by Andrew Stone at 7:29 p.m. Okay, specifically calling out John and Mr. Friedman about having this meeting at 7 o'clock on a Friday. Okay, I go directly to the township website at 7:31, and I've got screenshots of the calendar and of the Facebook page. There's absolutely nothing up. So my question is, how do the people that don't want a data center know about this meeting before the rest of the public? And they're specifically calling you two guys out. Were you having conversations with them before the rest of the public in terms of this meeting and what you were trying to do? Just my question. Raises a lot of concern.
I talked to many people. There's nothing secretive about who I speak to and who I don't speak to. Next public comment. Yeah, hand in the back.
For the rest of the supervisors, did they know about the meeting at that time?
What was the date?
It was Tuesday at 7:29 p.m.
Go ahead.
When did the email go out?
I don't remember.
It's either Monday night or Tuesday morning that email came out.
I don't know. I think we started talking about it on Monday, but it was trying to figure out the day for the meeting because EDC had a meeting on Thursday. I don't know. I
Hold
don't.
on. This is, I find this to be a pertinent question. Are you looking it up?
I am. Just give me a second. Monday afternoon was a message about what day would be good on Thursday or Friday to host a meeting. Then the email went out.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm Stacy Stone, and I'm Andrew Stone's wife. And we live along, we live in Tuscarora Village, which is along River Road. So, Mr. Engel, I know this doesn't really affect you in any way because you're on $1 Million Highway, but us and you don't, well, us, our home and many other people's homes who are here that live along the river are going to possibly be affected by this. And the problem is we don't know what type of data center it's going to be or any of the specifics yet. And I do actually appreciate that you guys are holding this meeting. And I think transparency is very important. So if you want us to be supportive of you, which we should be as a community, then you guys need to be honest with us and transparent with us. There's a lot of homes in Tuscarora Village. There's 71 homes in the village. So we need to be aware of what's going on because our water well is down along the river. Many of you might not care about that or anybody else's well that's along the river. And my question is, are you going to be informing Warren County? Because we do share the river as far as water and the noise and anything that else comes with the data center. Will this information be shared with Warren County? Because they did just ban them in Warren County. So
Okay.
That's my question. Will Warren County, New Jersey be informed of what's going to go on in Upper Mount Bethel?
Justin, do you see concerns where we should notify Warren County?
I don't know if it's a requirement, but I believe the township could send the documents as a courtey. And if
I think that would be really
there's
important,
involvement
too.
From the Delaware River Basin Commission, depending upon the water withdrawal, I'm sure they're going to be notified.
Yeah, because it's going to affect everyone along the river. Belvedere, going down, Lower Mount Bethel, everybody. So it's not just Upper Mount Bethel that you need to be concerned about. It's other townships as well. But thank you very much for holding the
Thanks.
meeting.
Anyone else? Yeah, hand in the back. Come on up.
Hello, good evening. My name is Julie Labella. I'm the Senior Vice President of External Affairs for Talon Energy. Talon is the partner in Slate Belt Holdings, which owns the land, the industrial property adjacent to the coal site. For those who aren't familiar with Talon, we are a large energy generator in the state of Pennsylvania. We own power plants across the state, including Lower Mount Bethel and Martins Creek. We employ approximately 1,400 employees in the state. Our team members live in the communities where we operate, and Talon strives to be a good community neighbor by supporting local organizations, firefighters, first responders, teams, and schools. Since becoming a partner on this development effort in Upper Mount Bethel, our goal has been to work collaboratively with township leaders and community members to set responsible, thoughtful performance standards for a potential data center project on our property in the existing industrial park. In order to clarify zoning guidelines for the industrial zone, we have submitted a filing to the Zoning Hearing Board to start a transparent, timely process for specifically including data centers in the ordinance. We remain committed to engaging with township officials and the community to find a path forward that works for all parties so we can bring investment in a responsible way that will generate significant benefits to the township while addressing local priorities and concerns. We are also open to working with the township toward a community benefit agreement that will strengthen township services and infrastructure in addition to significant real estate tax revenue. Talon wants to work through these issues constructively, transparently, and in good faith, We look forward to being an upstanding member of the Upper Mount Bethel community for years to come, and we intend to reaffirm that commitment through ongoing communication and collaboration. Thank you for your time tonight and for allowing us to speak.
Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Donnelly. I'm a resident of Upper Mount Bethel Township, and I was here Monday night. I will be here every night this board meets until our community gets the transparency and protection it deserves. I'm here tonight in support of the curative amendment before this board, but I want to be very clear what this community expects from the 180 days that follow. Number one, data centers must require conditional use approval, not by right. A public hearing before this board with residents having the right to present evidence, question experts, and be heard before any approval is granted. Number two, any applicant must obtain Delaware River Basin Commission approval for water withdrawals before receiving any local land use approval. A single data center can consume 5 million gallons of Delaware River water per day. This community and 14 million downstream drinking water users deserve that protection. Number three, an independent environmental impact study funded entirely by the developer, not the township, must be completed and made public before any conditional use hearing begins. That study must address water withdrawal, thermal discharge, groundwater, stormwater, noise, air quality, and traffic. Number four, a community benefit agreement negotiated in public with resident input before any agreement is signed, not after, not in secret. Number five, the 180-day process itself must include at least 2 public community meetings where residents can provide input on the new ordinance before it is drafted, not after. We are going to be told this project will bring hundreds of jobs and millions in tax revenue. I want this board and this community to know what the documented evidence actually shows. The Brookings Institution studied 770 data center facilities across 93 counties and found that job creation was regularly overstated by a factor of 3. Virginia, the nation's largest data center market, generates just 1 permanent job for every $13 million invested. Researchers in Texas concluded that the net employment effect of data centers within a county is effectively 0. The construction jobs are real, and they disappear in 18 months. And on tax revenue, Upper Mount Bethel's LERTA agreement means the developer pays almost nothing in real estate taxes for 10 years, 10% per year. Our community bears the full cost of roads, emergency services, and infrastructure from day one, while the revenue trickles in at a fraction of its eventual value for a decade. That's not economic development, that's a corporate subsidy dressed up as community benefit, and this community deserves to know the difference before any agreement is signed. We've learned this week that Lower Mount Bethel Township officials signed confidentiality agreements with Talon Energy, confirmed by right to know records. We have learned that Talon's CEO publicly stated after being rejected in Montour County that they have, quote, a number of other opportunities in the pipeline. We know that Talon owns the Martins Creek power plant right next door to this township. This community is not naive. We know what is coming, and we are asking this board to use these 180 days to write an ordinance that puts our river, our residents, and our rural character first before any developer's timeline. Vote yes tonight and earn our trust with what comes next. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Yeah, in the back. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. Ron is going to explain it shortly.
Hello, Al Spinelli, 2076 River Road, Mount Bethel. Make no mistake, this is about AI and the explosion of AI in this country. AI is here to stay. Trust me, when I'm vice president of sales and operations for a technological company, I live and breathe this every day. But there's something called local AI versus cloud-based AI. Apple, Dell, and other manufacturers are racing at lightning speed to develop home computers that will run local AI. So when you, me, others in this room want to do a spreadsheet, it'll be hosted on your computer. That's local AI. And within 2 years, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and all of the AI algorithms that are causing this data center explosion will be running locally. These data centers are not for you and me. They're not. Now, I understand the law and I understand ordinances, and we are going through what everybody else is going through. The first data center goes in and then you fight because you didn't have the rules on. Nobody could imagine this was going to happen. But the threat to our community is environmental. It's water and sound, all right? They're going to pull water from the Delaware. The water is going to cool the servers and be output. Is it going to be output at 5 degrees hotter, 10 degrees hotter? What type of environmental impact on the river will that have? Forget about pulling drinking water from Tuscarora or me, because I'm on the river too. As MedEd can tell you. But, and it's sound. The data center people constructing these, like Talon, will say, wait a minute. It's only 55 decibels at 200 yards. Here's our paper. Here's our white paper. This town needs to ask whether that's A-weighted or C-weighted in terms of the sound pressure measurement. A-weighted measures certain frequencies and is just a loudness measurement. C-weighted measures how sound affects humans. It's the low frequency measurements. It's when a thunderstorm comes through and you feel it in your stomach. It could be 20 miles away, but you feel the queasiness and rumble. So when Talon comes in and starts talking to you about sound pressure measurements, please ask them, is that A-weighted or C-weighted? It's a simple question, because C-weighting is what is the definition of what affects humans the worst. When you go to a rock concert, we measure C-weighted. And again, as I stated before, they're not for you and me. Within 2 years, we'll be running AI locally on our computers. That's why when you go to buy a hard drive right now, it's tripled in price, because the data centers are consuming all of them. The data centers are for large number crunching, large calculations and large entities. Make no mistake, I live this. Like those needed for pharmaceutical and healthcare companies to run an AI analysis on the threat to their margins if too many patients are purchasing drugs at a low price. Like those needed by Wall Street to make or break markets. Like those needed by agencies to run an AI analysis of Americans' voting patterns and other personal preferences. To process data from tens of thousands of traffic cameras tracking how you drive. In closing, I'd like to say, please understand the threat to us. The data centers, they'll tell us that, well, you're using ChatGPT. You're using ChatGPT. It's for you, but it's not for us. It's for big business to use our land to run calculations for the top 1% of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Next up for public comment. Tom.
Tom Gilmore, Morningside Drive. When a data center project was originally floated, there was talk of a consultant to manage these negotiations. Personally, I regularly help scope and negotiate multi-million-dollar contracts with Fortune 100 and 500 companies, much like Marty. With all due respect, I'm not sure any of our seated supervisors are qualified to manage these negotiations. Provided you do the right thing tonight, we will have 180 days, 6 months to get this right. We're here to talk about a municipal ordinance, though, tonight. I have an incredible model ordinance from Penn Future that I urge you to use as a template to model our ordinance off of. It's somewhere near 30 pages, so we'd be here for the rest of the night if I quoted directly from it. I will email it to all of the supervisors and the township manager. It does set up some incredibly specific and, more importantly, legally acceptable under the awful municipal planning code that we're saddled with. However, there's some specific things I urge you to include. Emissions. Spell out protocols, notification systems, and emission caps for primary and backup generation. Noise mitigation. Require operational noise to stay at or below ambient noise levels, including during backup generation during outages. Testing generation should be restricted on weekends and holidays. Water. Independent point and downstream monitoring for any outflow, warm water discharge, including gray water, PFAs, and chemical releases. Require on-site chemical treatment with independent monitoring that produces publicly available records of test results and penalties for any releases past the established threshold. This testing should be extended to any on-site power generation, including backup generators. Restrictions on any withdrawal from our groundwater and severely limited diversion from the Delaware River for both cooling and generation activities. Require an on-site retention pond and rainwater harvesting to provide the primary water source. Any of these Any of these restrictions are toothless without strict monitoring and penalties for failing to uphold operational constraints. Any increase in site size, equipment, on-site generation increase, including backup generation, or increase in water intake or diversion from the river must trigger a new conditional use review. Some additional considerations. This is more than just a data center. You've got power generation, and more importantly, in this case, knowing that they're pulling power from Martins Creek, transmission infrastructure. Limit the height of transmission poles. Limit the height of transmission poles and a binding agreement that any transmission infrastructure will not be acquired using eminent domain. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone else? Public comment. Ray.
Ray Higgins, 580 Centerville Road. So I actually was going to read something, but instead of reading off this paper, I'm going to ask you direct questions. So as an EDC member, we came to you guys many months ago and said we should form a committee to go out to this data center and come back with facts for our residents. We have not done it. You guys sit up there and tell us what your thoughts are, what we should do. How do you know? You've never even been to one. Why are we not out at this place getting facts? Why aren't we out there with a decibel meter and finding these facts out for ourselves? We're sitting on our hands. We're using second and third hand information, and you have no facts. None. You sit up here and you tell us things, but you don't really have facts. Put a committee together, go out and get the facts for our residents. So we know what the good and bad is. Whether you're for it or against it, you have a right to know what the actual facts are. And you guys haven't give us any. None. You sit up there and you tell us stuff, but show us it. Go there. See it for yourselves. Bring a couple people from each of our committees in our township. Open Space, Parks and Rec, EDC. Everybody should have some input into this. And if you get this wrong, you're going to screw this town up big time. So I really hope that you listen to what people are saying. Not just one side, both sides. Because it ultimately affects everybody in this town. And come back to us with some real facts.
And Ray.
Well, if I could address that, Mr. Chair. First, we have to go see the plans of what the data center is going to be comprised of. Is it going to be HVAC units cooling? Is it going to be water cooling? Is it going to have water towers? How big is it going to be? How high is it going to be? You just can't go out to any data center and see, what it entails. I'm all for going for a field trip. We can, when we find out what type of building is going to go up. It would not do any good at this time just to go to any willy-nilly data center and see what it's comprised of. Let's find out what's going in, and then we can go out and find a data center like that.
All right, guys. David Friedman has the floor.
But anyway, I'm all for going to seeing what these data centers would entail. So,
anyone else? Public comment.
Well, I just like to say that I kind of disagree that a lot of data centers may differ in a lot of different ways, but the supervisors getting a chance to see one and talk to the residents around it would be a very important step. And if one liaison from the committees that are immediately affected would suffice, Ron, what would be the legality of all 5 supervisors going?
All supervisors can go if it is simply a fact-finding mission. You cannot deliberate, you cannot discuss matters, you can't do anything that would be something that would need to be done at a public meeting. But if you're simply securing facts, getting information, that would be okay. However, understanding how sometimes there are boo birds that want to make mountains out of molehills, I don't know if I would recommend 5 supervisors. I'd recommend 2.
And that being said, I had spoken to a politician last week, and they are giving tours of data centers in New Jersey. So you can experience the outside, and then they'll walk you through the data center so you can see what it's like on the inside. So I'm waiting for the date to come, and then, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or
Well,
just me, depending on the
You
date.
can do two one date, two another date. You
Yeah.
don't have to necessarily exclude people, but you should not have all five
Okay,
together at
then
once,
we'll-
I don't think.
We'll do it that way.
I'd like to make a motion that we put this together for 2 dates so that
Well,
the
let's wait
majority
for-
of the board can,
Let's wait for the days to come in. I'm supposed to get
wh-
this.
whether it's to the New Jersey one or the giant one in Ohio, or there are a lot of different data centers we can go, but I think it's important for us
Ron.
to actually get firsthand experience.
I think the motion made by Mr. Erler obviously is a good one and thought out, but it's not on the agenda. I'm not sure if it can be acted on.
And John, just
I
to
received my
comment on what you were saying, when this was brought up a while ago about the EDC going, I suggested that all the other heads of even if the chairman, to go to, from open space or the Parks and Rec go as well.
I recall it, and it got blown up from a small group of 5
Yeah.
or 6 people into 20.
So even if we can look at it and put smaller groups together and send them
I was
out,
going
that's
to make
what I
my
would
motion with a limit on heads, maybe no more than 10.
Well, wait, the tour in New Jersey, you have to be a township official. Ron.
Well, I'm just going to say that again, to have this motion move forward rather than just die on the vine, you guys are meeting on Monday for your regular mid-month meeting, put it on the agenda.
If you can put it on the agenda. Oh, right. We can amend the agenda. Yeah. Come up to the mic, please. Wait, because people are listening at home.
The tour is a nice idea for you guys to see the inside, but that's not really what matters. Because they can blow all the smoke they want at you, the people that run these places. Go talk to the residents.
Yeah, we're going to do that too.
Go see the people. Go stand next to the thing. Go bring a meter. Listen to it. We should have done this 8 months ago.
And
We still don't know
no
what's coming
reason-
in, Ray.
There's
We
no
still don't know what's coming in.
You don't need to know what's coming in to go talk to people that live around them.
And our facility is an 800-acre one, where I don't want to go to like a single building one.
Sure,
We
of
need
course.
to look at one,
Well, yeah, I mean, you
maybe
can
not apples
judge-
to apples, but as close as we
You
can do.
can judge and get as close to what we think we're going to get to start getting some of this information. Why are we a year into this without any facts, any real information to the public?
I don't know if a data center is coming in yet. I mean, we think it is, but we don't know for sure.
If it's not, we're going to end up with a whole lot of warehouses.
Yeah, exactly. It's warehouses or data centers. No, Ron, you went a minute over. Who's?
Just a single question. Were you in on the meetings for the $50 million with Mr. Friedman?
With Mr. Friedman, no. That was the original meetings that took place where the negotiations failed for one reason or another. No, I was not.
You were with him when he demanded $50 million from town?
I was not there for that. No,
You are aware of it, though?
I am aware of it.
Things for data center ordinances.
Oh, all right. Who wants to make a public comment? Stavros. Come on, Stavros.
So,
Name.
few things.
Name, please.
Stavros Barbonis, Potomac Street. I've heard it a few times tonight that you actually don't know what the use is. But you're filing a curative amendment to change something without actually having a reason to change it yet. Somebody else just said, we actually don't know what we're getting. Because the potential was warehousing, manufacturing, or a data center. They each have implications, both good and bad. And I've said this before, and 2 of you have reached out to me. I'm in IT just like this other gentleman. I've helped design, I've helped build, I've helped operate data centers. I've slept in data centers. I could tell you stories that would make you cringe, okay? What type of data center are you going to? Are you going to a data center built 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Or are you going to go look up the new data centers that are being constructed by the leaders in the global market. So reference to AI. AI is everywhere. Whether you realize it or not, if you watch sports, if you watch TV, if you go to the doctor, it's everywhere. So local AI, not for everyone. I run local AI. Take some time, but you're not getting away from the larger industries that are using it to benefit human life. I want that. I want the radiology to pick up on things that the doctor missed, because that's actually happening today. Now that's aside because people are looking to protect something that hasn't happened yet, and yet we have issues in this township that are existent and they're not being addressed. So when I hear about our wells getting contaminated, it's already happened. When I hear about, noise pollution, I can tell you, I could take you to data centers where the only thing you hear is the traffic going by. You're not going to hear anything else. I could tell you that I've been inside data centers that were ultimately quiet. It depends on the data center. The data centers being built today, and I deal with this on a weekly basis because I place people there, are doing things that are next level. So if you go to any of the data centers I've traditionally been in, I'm waiting to go to one of the new ones. I haven't seen those yet. And for the record, I have access to 2,200 data centers in the U.S. alone because that's my job. I don't care if it's New Jersey. I don't care if it's San Jose, Santa Ana, Dallas, Fort Worth, Newark, Weehawken. I've been all over the place. Even in skyscrapers in New York City, yes. They have data centers inside of skyscrapers that are traditional office buildings, and you wouldn't even know that it's operating there. You don't know what's coming. You haven't seen a data center. And you're making judgment calls before you actually have the facts. That is where I have a problem. Now, if you tell me pros and cons, data centers, warehousing, or manufacturing, which one do you think I'm going to pick based on what I know? And I've done research on the implications of light manufacturing. We know we're going to need public sewer and water, but nobody wants a municipal authority. We talked about warehousing, but nobody wants a traffic. So now you have a data center, low implication on traffic, not the same implication on the environment as manufacturing would have, because if it didn't, then why would we need public municipal authority for water and sewer? And yeah, okay, there's those implications, but what are they? There is sound deadening and sound buffering technology today that's not in a 30-year-old data center, because they don't care in those industrial parks that are in Weehawken, because quite frankly, you're not going to hear anything over the honking, the yelling, and everything else that's going on. We're rural, I get it, so we should guide it, but you don't even know what you're guiding yet. I've openly told all of you, if you want to talk about data centers and get my insight, please come at me. 2 of you have. The 2 of you have not. So now I see a curative amendment to make a change to zoning that's apparently invalid. Yet you have no idea what's coming to say it's invalid. What if it's manufacturing? Are you going to write another curative amendment to protect our water supply? This is targeting data centers. It's not targeting everything. If you're going to do this, it should target any industry. I disapprove of the fact that you're targeting data centers for more regulations when there's already a crap ton of organizations that are going to apply those regulations on a data center. It's already there. We all know it. It's no different than manufacturing. It's no different than warehousing. If you're going to do this, and I've said this before,
wrap it up, Stavros.
You should dig in. I haven't seen any of you dig into the point where you're making an informed decision. And unless I see that, you are not going to have my support.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Yeah, come on up, Sharon.
Sharon Duffield, Potomac Street. These have been interesting conversations to listen to, and standing there listening to the conversations about the NDAs. Martin's right about what goes on in business. NDAs, though, in the use in local government, there's stuff going forward in Pennsylvania right now to try to remove that. Things have changed in local government. Ray's point is a point I wholeheartedly agree with. Stavros made some good points. The first thing is to know what you don't know. And these things are moving so fast. Look how fast they've moved just within the last year or so. The ones that are bullseye is in this township are not going to be the stuff Stavros was talking about. Yeah, they've been around forever, and he made a good point. They're the old ones. They're not the new stuff. This is a whole new animal. These things are massive, massive. So the effects they have is entirely different. I would also ask that you, quote, dig in, and that you go and see one, and see a hyperscale one. And to the point of talking to the residents, they're the important people. People in the data center are the salespeople. It's what they do. They're not going to tell you it's bad stuff, right? So if you look and research and read and see what's happening in Virginia, in Georgia, and now just north of us, and see what those folks are experiencing, going through. You know, years back, Lexus founder, basically all the stuff he did was based upon people who already had experiences in it before him, and then he tried to gauge it. We should do the same thing here and be honest about it. What I do disagree with Stavros on is we should be getting ahead of things, thinking down the road, not just at where are we now and what might be we be dealing with, but what are we going to be dealing with? This thing's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take time if it happens. So we should be trying to get ahead of it and planning now. What you don't know, find out. These things multiply, if you've read. Starts with one, then there's another one and another one. Eminent domain was mentioned. What does that mean? Have you seen other areas where it's taken place? It is. Okay, so we start with one, and gee, look, Lower Mount Bethel's right there. There's PPL right there. What do you think the chances are? If you were in business and you had one, where would you go? What would you do? Okay, this isn't about us. It's about them too. It's not just about benefiting us. Thank you. The government's the largest user, by the way.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else? Judy.
Judith Henkel, 1752 Robin Hood Road. I'm kind of listening to all of this, and I have to keep going back over and over. It's all about trust. Do we, the citizens, trust you? And for the most part, I think you do. But it's also about, I don't even think we can trust each other here, because it always seems to be like open space, EAC, and maybe Park and Rec are always catching up, because Planning Commission and Zoning Hearing Board hear about all this stuff ahead of time. They've been working on this and getting around this. So now Zoning Hearing Board is going to grab this away from you and say, we're going to have a meeting, we're going to have them come in, and we're going to tell you what it's going to be. Now, unless they're sitting down and writing that whole ordinance, they're just looking at, is a data center use permitted in that zone? And it is. But that zone was done years and back in the late 70s when the electric company owned it, and they said, yeah, okay, well, it's their land. I'm so tired of hearing it's their land, they can do what they want, or my neighbor has his land and he can run ATVs over and drive me nuts with the noise. How does that work out? We just don't trust each other enough to sit down and talk about this. There are all kinds of data centers. I don't know which one you're going to go to, and the newer ones can be better. The problem is right now there was a scramble to buy the land and get the agreements by the top tech companies. They don't know what they're going to build in the long run. So what I'm hearing is your curative amendment, and let me jump back because this is 1968 when our state made this municipal planning code that you have to have every use in your municipality. Can't put a farm in the middle of town or in a city. So they get away with that one. I mean, so why can't we say what are the things we think should be here and what would we want to exclude? If you're going to do it, you better do it right. And let me go back a couple of steps. Let's say a couple of months. And I know you get sick of hearing Plan Slate Belt, but the Plan Slate Belt group of people, the last time they had their consultants in there who are now out and talking to all the municipalities, they said, you know what? We're looking at all your zoning and there's things you haven't addressed here that are coming down the road. Solar being one, data centers being another. How do you keep all your emergency management? All of these things, you don't wait until now when it happens. You do have to look ahead and think, okay, we might get it, we might not, but we have it in there. Now, I agree. Years ago, when I was here, either as supervisor or planning or whatever, it's impossible to know every single thing that's going to come down the road, but you have an inkling here of what's coming. So I give you credit for wanting to do the curative amendment, have everybody in here get their input. It's really important about, is it a small one? Is it a big one? Is it 10 that equal a big one? What about our water, air, heat, and everything else? So I appreciate that now there's people concerned. I hope it's not too late. And I don't want to always be fighting with EDC and zoning, but sometimes I think they have to look at our point of view also. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment.
Ron, please.
No. Come on up, Shane.
Hey guys, my name is Shane Swan. I live in Stone Church. Okay, so the point's been made a couple times already by especially the gentleman in black, who I don't know, but he gave a very eloquent assessment on determining what type of data center. It's kind of like saying, I want food for dinner. Okay, what kind of food do you want? Do you have food allergies? Like, you know, it's really this really broad term that I believe is deliberately being propagated in order to keep people, and people such as yourselves who are trying to do the right thing, confused or not sure. And then you lean to the developer, which of course, no offense, has a vested interest to assure you that everything's going to be great. But I think it's really super important to determine what type of data center. And the data centers that are being constructed now are not the same type of data centers that were being constructed 10 years ago. These are hyperscalers, and they use 100 megawatts plus energy, which is unlike anything we've ever seen before. If you look across the United States right now, Indiana, West Virginia, Texas especially, Georgia, people are losing their entire homes, not because of the data center per se, but because of the power lines that they need to run to said data center. Okay? So we need to look at this from a full scope perspective. And the water, especially the water. Amazon just settled a $20.5 million lawsuit in Oregon for contaminating the local water table with their hyperscale data center. Meta just is in the middle of litigation right now in Wyoming. They poisoned the water supply with a rare bacterium. Look it up. Okay? So, you know, we need to understand that this isn't, a consumer level facility. And I'm one of those people. I said the last time I was here, when you originally, I think it was you actually, John, that told me, a data center in place of a warehouse. Okay, we don't have truck traffic and, all the noise. I guess it's the better of the two. But since, over the recent years of learning and understanding of the AI boom and what's coming, we have to understand that this is a brand new type of animal that we've never seen before. And if you look across the country, especially in Virginia, they apparently have the most data centers. It's out of control. Archbald, PA right now is fighting 51 data centers in Archbald, PA. That sounds made up, but look it up. Because once one comes in and another comes in, you made this concession for that one. Now this one can come in. It's like a whole can of worms that gets opened up. So, again, respectfully, you sort of hold the future of this entire township in the palm of your hands. From air, noise, water. I mean, these things are not, I can't believe I'd say this, but I would take a warehouse over a data center. Like if I was against the wall and had no choice, because at least, you're not going to have our aquifers and our rivers polluted, So, yeah, I mean, I know I'm out of time, but I really sincerely implore everyone to please look into, and Google, believe it or not, will tell you the correct information, the biocides, the corrosive inhibitors, the scale inhibitors, the pH adjusters. This comes out of a closed loop water system, which is an oxymoron because there is no such thing as a truly closed loop cooling system. Some of it evaporates, but the stuff that doesn't evaporate gets spit back out untreated right into our water table. So, you know, we're right here on the river, this beautiful river. What is going to happen to us and everybody past us? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Anyway,
Thank you, Shane.
thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yep. I saw my stepmother in the back of the room, and I think she's here watching me. Yeah, come on up.
I'm Paul Taylor. I live on
Hey, Paul.
Turkey Ridge Road. I wish I was standing this way because I'd rather address the public than the board. Because I think it's rude to be talking to people with my back to them. Couple quick things that I've heard tonight. One, data centers have a new chip. They run at a much hotter temperature, so they don't have the need for low temperature cooling. Data centers, believe it or not, do not use any water. Right or wrong? Data centers do not use any water.
Let's let it hit the floors. Paul's. Let them go.
Because the water usage is for cooling the data center. So the older data centers needed higher cooling capacities. They used cooling towers, and the cooling towers is where you got into your biocides. I'm a mechanical contractor. I work on mechanical systems every day of the week. I did some research. I called some people, talked to some people, because from a mechanical standpoint, I have some ideas how you can integrate other companies, greenhouses, or somebody that could use the heat generated from the data center that could then support their businesses. Okay. And if you could picture a data center surrounded by greenhouses or, and again, I'm not telling you what they're doing, but it is a possibility. So data centers themselves, if you build a data center and you go with air-cooled chillers, that is a 100% closed loop system, and the heat is rejected into the air. Data centers will not make any noise. The noise inside a data center is held in by sound attenuation. The noise comes is these high efficiency chillers with high efficiency fans, screw compressors that have that whining sound. If you guys ever go to a resort, a school, you hear a chiller run and it's going, wah! Now just picture having 50 of those chillers to cool the data center. That's where the noise comes from. That can also be prevented with the proper sound attenuation. So the noise issue should be null and void if made them to do it properly. So it really should have no sound pollution, no air pollution, and it should be definitely the least amount of impact at anything. I'm a mechanical contractor. I have NDAs with a lot of companies. You want to get somebody that comes in here that's going to make garbage bags. It sounds very simple, right? But they put scent in the garbage bags because people don't want to smell their garbage anymore. So now you smell the scent from the factories that make garbage bags with scent in them. Okay, let's get a concrete recycling company down there. Talk about noise. You're going to have a lot of noise, a lot of dust, and a lot more dump trucks running up and down the road than we have right now. We have too many dump trucks that are rude, that drive like not very nice people. Look at the other big companies that we have in this township and in Portland that are great companies that take care of their properties. They look good. They take care of their people. And if we had more companies that could help support the taxes, the older people could have less tax. And again, don't give them the 10-year break. Let's start getting the taxes right off the bat. Don't cut the deal and say, we'll give you 10 years of free taxes. Okay. Go right for it. Secondly, we might actually have a township building that we're not having a meeting inside of a garage.
Okay.
So
all right, Paul, wrap it up.
If we could have a little more foresight, there's a lot of companies, cocoa butter, all kinds of stuff that has smell, noise, and water. A data center should have toilets for the workers, and they just said there's not many workers, and showers.
All right, Paul.
They do not use water. Okay?
Thank you.
And I have done some research.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
I'd like to make a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I just want to give a brief overview of, what we're doing and why. According to the Pennsylvania court doctrine dating back to the 1960s, a municipal zoning ordinance must provide for and may not exclude from the municipality all lawful uses of land. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to allow the data center in whether we like it or not. It's the law, okay? Now, another thing you have to realize that it's going to go into I2, I3 zone. Remember, a text amendment was passed that changed the parameters of buildings and such that are in that zone. This ordinance, all it would do was address the unique qualities that data centers have. They want a groundwater survey, a noise, a energy survey, wastewater that was talked about after the decommissioning and everything else. These things are not addressed in the text amendment. And data centers present a unique, well, I don't want to say problem because it sounds stupid, but unique parameters that have to be addressed. We know we have to let data centers in. There's no question about it. We know that there's an I2 and an I3 zone that has a text amendment that governs everything that goes in there. All this ordinance is going to do is have oversight for the data centers. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to keep them out. It's not going to infringe on the rights of the developer or anything else. I think it's up to the board to pass this, to do our due diligence because of the unique qualities that data centers present. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
No, Ron, your time is up. Ron, no. No. Stavros, cut the mic. Come on, Ron. Ron, there's other people that want to comment. Ron, there's other people that are, we're going to get to the curative amendment in a minute. There was someone in the back row. Yeah, come on up.
He already spoke.
Yeah. Well, let me see if there's anyone else. Anyone else? Public comment. Okay, moving on. The curative amendment. Ron, why don't you explain to the people what a curative amendment does?
All right, a curative amendment can be done either by a landowner or by a municipality. In this case, the municipality would be considering doing a municipal curative amendment. What the township would be saying is that we believe our ordinance is invalid because we do not have regulations with respect to data centers. There's no definition of a data center in the ordinance. There's no performance standards for data centers in the ordinance. So we believe that the ordinance is invalid in that regard because, as Mr. Friedman said, there has to be a spot for all uses within the township. So the township says we're going to proceed with this process. A motion would be made, and if passed, then a resolution is adopted at your next meeting, and then you have a 180-day period in which to be able to work on developing an ordinance. And I'd probably recommend you'd form a committee and have people start to work together in that regard. And in the meantime,
You mean a committee to work on the
work on
ordinance?
developing an ordinance,
Uh-huh.
The curative amendment ordinance, if you will. And then if in fact that would be the case, then the ordinance would be able to be done over that 180-day period. No one could file anything that could overcome that ordinance. They'd have to wait until the ordinance got adopted, and then you would be able to proceed further. Now, in this particular case, understand that as of yesterday, a validity challenge was filed by Slate Belt Holdings. So passing a municipal curative amendment will not be able to apply to that. That is going to file its own separate path. They filed a request for a hearing before the zoning hearing board. That's where that will go, and that's how that will proceed. However, I still think that you should consider this amendment because you have large swaths of land in the township. Upper Mount Bethel Township is the second largest township in the state for land area. It's 44 square miles. If you don't adopt some ordinance that talks about data centers, you may have some farmer coming in and saying, I want my 60 acres now to have a data center, and here we go. So I think it should be passed, even though I was hoping we'd get it in before the Talon property, I'll call it, although it's not Talon, before the Slate Belt people filed their motion, but apparently they became aware of the township's actions, and they filed their matter yesterday. So that's where we are.
So the curative amendment and the, for lack of a better word, data center ordinance would apply to everywhere else in Upper Mount Bethel
It would
Township,
apply to any
but
new
that-
applications, not the one dealing
Yeah.
with, I'll say, the Pector property, if
Yeah.
you will. That would apply to any new ones. And you could, again, on the ordinance, you're going to try to develop, okay, where it's going to be. What type of buildings are there going to be? What are the height? What are the square footage? What about usage for water? What about usage for sanitary sewer? You're going to address all of those issues in this ordinance. Now, I believe that one of the speakers talked about a Penn Vest or a Penn Futures ordinance. There are plenty of ordinances around that can be used to use as a working base so that it can proceed. But understand that now that the validity challenge has been filed by Slate Belt Holdings, that's going to go a separate way. That will not be affected by any municipal amendment that you pass.
Okay. So the curative amendment that we're working tonight is to protect the rest of Upper Mount Bethel Township.
So in
John,
theory-
I have a question for Ron.
ahead.
So, Ron, what you're saying is, because they filed that yesterday, this curative amendment has no bearing on that property.
That is correct.
So we don't have to rush into anything right now to do anything, because that's already taken care of. That's going to be, that's already set, and that's already filed.
You only have to rush into it if you believe you're going to have some other person come in and say, I want a data center on my 60 acres, and you have nothing in place. So,
We have 6 months.
Well, yeah, but you still have time.
Right, so now what we should do.
yeah, but you don't have any,
Guys,
any 180-day wait time. In other words, if you do this, no one can file anything within the next 6 months while you're working on this ordinance. If you don't do it, you might have someone like these guys come in and say, all right, we want that that area to be a data center. That's your call to make.
But
These
now we
are
have to change-
these are policy decisions. They're not legal decisions.
But then that's changing. You'd have to go through zoning to get out of agriculture to go into industrial. Like, you know what I mean? All that would have to change. So honestly, since this is Moog at this point, then the best thing to do is what Ray is saying. Let's get a group, see what you can do to go visit a data center. Stavros could probably help us get into that or coordinate something. I don't want to speak for him. Do it the right way. And then if there's other farms that now we have to go back to square one and they want to change agriculture to industrial and go through all those motions, we have that time. Because doing this right now isn't going to do what they thought it was going to prevent to do.
My question is, you're saying for any other location in the future, but the text amendment applies to the I-2 and the I-3 in that particular zone. Data centers are not zoned in agricultural or residential. It is only allowed, a technology center is only allowed in an I-2, I-3 zone.
The invalidity challenge is that you have nothing for data centers in your ordinance, so they can go anywhere.
My thought
That's
is
the
that
challenge.
My thought is following our solicitor's advice. If we could have a company come in tomorrow and go pay Farmer Joe millions of dollars and say we're going to put a data center there. If we pass this tonight, we have 180 days to get our act together, to go visit, to go look. If we don't, and we wait on it until we're comfortable or ready to go, if another data center goes in on Farmer Joe's land, we have no ordinance at that point. So the data center of any size can go in.
That's the potential problem. Now,
Yeah.
again, I agree with Mr. Erler that you have the industrial I2 and I3 zones where data centers should go. But again, our ordinance doesn't say that. We don't define a data center. We don't explain what it is. We don't have any performance standards, and we don't say how big or how small it should be. That's why we're being challenged by Slate Belt saying your ordinance is invalid because you haven't done this. And the municipal curative amendment is basically piggybacking on that and say, yeah, you're right, and we're going to make this change.
So, Ron, wouldn't a simpler, faster solution would be to amend the text amendment to include vocabulary for a data center, and then it would be given definition within our township that it is valid there. Therefore, we are satisfying state standard.
I think you could do that, but I don't know if just a definition does the trick. I mean, I believe that you may want to address other items like building size, building square footage, building height, water usage, sewer usage, etc. Or you can just say that the standards that are in the text amendment apply to data centers. You could do that too. At least you got something.
But
That
the
would
text
happen.
amendments-
That could happen a little more quickly, obviously, than this.
But the text amendment's only for that property already.
But it allows it.
Correct.
Well, it's not for that property. It's for the I2, I3 zones.
Right.
Yeah.
That's our only I2, I3.
Right, but if you're saying to do it, to change it for somewhere else, if somebody else wants to do it, that text amendment has nothing to do with somewhere 3 miles down the road, correct? Because it's only I2.
Correct.
Right.
Well, if
But
you're
as
going
long
to
as we
keep
allow it.
data centers in I2 or I3, then the amendment and the conditions of that amendment would apply.
All right, we'll take a question.
Hi, I'm Sean Reynoso. I live on Red Fox Lane.
Who's this?
I
don't know who it
I
is.
just read that going through the Pennsylvania government right now is a bill to allow townships to enact temporary moratoriums. So if that gets passed, well, one, I want to make sure you guys are aware of that it's being voted on currently. So if that passes, would that allow us to put a moratorium on this data center that's over there trying to be built?
Ron, do you want to comment on that?
Sean?
Well, it's only a bill. It's
Reynoso.
not something that's been passed yet. And then the question becomes, when it is passed, is it retrospective?
Yes.
Or it's prospective?
It's
You know.
So it actually says in here that it goes back to, for the retrospective part, it goes back to when the officials first announced they're looking into a moratorium.
So, Sean, if you can either get us the bill number or give it to Ron, that would be great.
Can I just send it to you?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Sean, SHAWNREYNOSO.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks. I hope it passes.
Ron, you've been up all night. No. She had a question specifically about the bill. No, Ron. No.
Excuse me, this is a Board of Supervisors meeting for us to determine and to deliberate in front of you. You had a public comment. This isn't a back and forth. And when you guys talk, we can't hear each other and we can't hear the solicitor.
So, David, thoughts on, and Jason, we haven't heard from you guys.
Well, I can see if we pass it, we've got the 6 months to work with it. I'd rather go for the sure thing.
Jason.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I really, it's when you think about this, we have time because this filed what they filed. We have time to work on this and do it properly. We need to visit these areas. We need to do this. We need to do that and get the information. I think there's a lot of fear mongering, and I think there's things that we don't know. And I don't even know if the citations that people are quoting are correct or if they're, if they're from anything. We need to visit this. We need to visit this as groups, and we have to come up with a formulative. We just can't throw into an agreement and an ordinance unless we have some sort of knowledge on it.
Again, my thought is vote on it tonight, get it passed, and then we have 180 days. That's 6 months. So why not go ahead and make it happen now?
I'd like to say, since I was in the 4 out of the last 5 meetings with Slate Belt Holding, we were negotiating on, not really negotiating, but kind of really setting terms. And one of the terms that we were looking to do was to change the text amendment to allow the vocabulary of data centers, but also to include a CBA in there, to have transparency in power and water to the township, to increase screening, possibly increase setbacks, vibration dampening materials, smaller buildings, everything that I'm here being discussed in this ordinance. John, you were in those meetings as well. Those were all spoke about behind the door when the other supervisors couldn't be open about it.
We don't.
These were discussed. We have no end user. Yes, we were discussing data centers as we're now meeting tonight to go forward with.
Wait, the bottom line is we believe it's a data center. If I had my last dollar, I would bet it's a data center coming in here. Wait, we're not taking questions. We're not taking questions. Yeah, Ron.
Well, let me say that, with respect to the meetings and things, I did speak with the Slate Belt Holdings attorney today. I called him once I became aware of their validity challenge. And frankly, I said I was a little miffed. I felt that was sort of stabbing the township in the back after we've done whatever we could to try to come to terms. And he said, and rightfully so, that he had to file it to protect his client's interest, but that he still hopes the township will be able to work together with them, as the Talon representative said this evening, to try to get an ordinance that's in place that would be restrictive and protect the township residents, et cetera. So keep that in mind. This is not now going to be war that would be filed, if you will. I still think that hopefully some type of concessions and or resolutions could occur.
And that makes another reason to pass this curative amendment tonight, is because we could get working on an ordinance and working closely with Julie. If they're working on the validity ordinance and they're creating one on their side, like Ron said, we can create the one for the entire township and say to Talon, hey, can you see what we want in our ordinance? Can you have yours mirror that, or at least come as close as possible to ours for the entire township? And then everybody's happy on the same page. Maybe they can't get it exactly like our municipal ordinance, but at least they know what our concerns are when we have Ron draft it and Jason and Justin look at it and provide his input. Then Talon could mirror it, and then we're all happy.
But we could still continue working with Julie and Talon without it, because if this passes tonight or doesn't, it doesn't affect what they're doing. It's already late.
But then, let's just do it, because
Fran, please.
Fran. But if we do it, it'll protect all of Upper Mount Bethel. So if a data center comes tomorrow over at Eastern Industries, they can't do anything because we've got 180 days to get an ordinance.
But what if we don't work all the kinks out with Julie with Talon currently, and to be able to mirror what Like,
But
this
it doesn't protect all of Upper Mount Bethel.
But if they pass their ordinance, their curative amendment, and they include language for a data center, that means that we have a place for it, and we don't need another ordinance because it can only be built on the I2, I3 zone, which is currently occupied by them. Is that correct?
Well, what about Joe Farmer, who sells his?
It's not
farm-
allowed.
Hold on,
It's
I'm
not
talking
allowed
to
on
Ron.
agriculture.
Ron, what about Joe
The
Farmer?
validity challenge that's been filed by Slate Belt Holdings and Talon, or maybe not Talon, but Slate Belt Holdings, is that the township ordinance is invalid because it does not have any provisions for data centers. As I said before, there's no definition of data centers, there's no performance standards, there's no other standards. So they're saying that we can put it in anywhere, and by the way, any way we want, unless the zoning hearing board says, well, you have to follow the I2 or I3 requirements, okay. But if the zoning board doesn't say that, and by the way, they don't have to also pay any community benefits agreement, that's only a handshake deal, that's not required by law, they could have a way with the township.
And but our solicitor tonight has recommended to pass the curative amendment. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, John. I guess you could say I've had the privilege or been fortunate enough to work with other municipalities. I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that other municipalities, townships throughout the Commonwealth are doing data center ordinances. And our company has worked on 4 in Northampton County alone, and we've actually worked on Lower Mount Bethel Township's ordinance, which they're in the process of passing. I guess I couldn't agree more with the solicitor. The current ordinance that we have in place, the current zoning ordinance, the current text amendment does not speak specifically to a data center because of the potential impacts that a data center could bring to the community. It's a community-wide impact. So my recommendation to the board, at least have reasonable safeguards and regulations in place specific to a data center. And then before the meeting, I actually went back and pulled a lot of the ordinances that we worked on to date that all these other municipalities are using. And a lot of it echoes what the solicitor had said, definitions on the data center, whether or not, what size, hyperscale, the overall, if you want to call it the electrical capacity or demand of the data centers. There's varying sizes of data centers. Building setbacks, building equipment setbacks, height standards, building size standards, buffers, screening. Those speak to more or less the site layout. Then there's power generation requirements, large scale backup power generation, fuel storage systems on site. How are those being provided? Where are those being located? Emergency response or preparedness, working with the local fire chiefs on the emergency preparedness, electrical utility impact study, traffic and construction impacts. Because it seems like a lot of these data centers, most of the construction of the site is actually overwhelming compared to what it is once it gets constructed. Noise and sound studies, having a sound study prior to the establishment going in, having a sound study during construction, and then having sound studies subsequent to once the data centers are in place. Water and sewer, you're looking at a water feasibility study, hydrogeologic studies, septic or sewer studies, a fiber optic infrastructure study, vibration studies in reference to low frequency sounds. A lot of this was mentioned tonight. Cooling systems using best available technology, making sure they're using it to try to minimize the water withdrawal. So those are just a few of the items that came out from data center meetings and data center ordinances that other municipalities in the Lehigh Valley have either passed or are in the process of passing. So I've heard the discussion tonight. I would recommend that you at least pursue getting something in place specific to data centers, because right now the township does not have that. And I like the fact of putting it out now, because at least if you can work through and negotiate with the property owner saying, hey, look, these are the thresholds or the standards or the heights. These are the things we're looking for. They may come back and say, well, we agree with that. And you're on the same page. So at least you have something. You have some standard in place. Because right now we have nothing. What type of decibel level you can live with, what type of height you want to live with, the water the water study, what would be required for that. depending upon what they're going to have to do. The Delaware River was mentioned tonight. The Delaware River Basin Commission will have to get involved depending upon the water withdrawal. There's solar panels. Some municipalities require solar panels on the roof to try to minimize the electrical demand. I've heard all the discussions. I've sat on many data center ordinance committee meetings, and it's a lot of the same, repetitious concerns. But at least if you put these standards out, you get it into motion, you put a committee together over the next few months, and while that's going on the train, this validity challenge is going, hey, okay, at least you have something where you can negotiate or show, look, we're trying to work with you in good faith. We're trying to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. These are the standards we'd like to see in place. Can you please work with us? If it's not strictly legal, but could it at least be in place to have a discussion or a negotiation ongoing, and then have something in place later on? So that's my recommendation.
Thank you, Justin.
So basically, it would be like the meetings now where you guys have had cordial sit-downs, agreements been made. We could still move forward with the meetings that you've had with Talon and with Julie and bring it forward that way.
I'd
in
have to
theory,
say
it's the same.
90 to 95% of the things that Justin just mentioned were discussed in the meetings that we had.
Ron,
So
go ahead.
Yes, so putting it on paper and getting it documented would be the way to go.
But it's too late to have them put it on paper and document it now because this came up, so they moved their chess piece. So now whatever we put in place, they're untouchable.
And their term is 60 days, if I'm...
Well, they filed a request before the zoning board, and zoning board hearings have to be held within 60 days of filing the request unless an extension is granted. Now, again, I spoke with the attorney today, and he said that they might be willing to consider an extension if we are working together in tandem to try to develop an ordinance. But, that's only discussion between attorneys. That's not been determined or decided by either their side or even our side, quite frankly. I just want the township to be aware, too, if we do the municipal curative amendment, that may come back to bite us, because remember now, Talon or Slate Belt Holdings has filed a challenge saying your ordinance is invalid because you have nothing dealing with data centers. If you make the motion this evening to say our ordinance is invalid, that may play right in their hands, but it's a tough decision to make. But that's why these are policy decisions, not legal decisions.
But the text amendment clearly states that tech centers are allowed, and that was where zoning got their ruling that the data center was allowed by right.
If you are going to challenge this matter, yes, you would take what the zoning officer said and say that the ordinance is not invalid. Data centers are permitted. They are whatever she defined them as, a research facility, technological facility, etc. And they're permitted in the I-1 or I-2 zones. So that's the position the township would take if you want to be adversarial to the applicant. If in fact you want to try to work with the applicant, as has occurred, I'm not sure if the township necessarily needs to be adversarial as much as attempting to be on the same page and working together in trying to develop some standards and restrictions for the data centers, because that's what you want to do. You want to be able to restrict them and regulate them in such a fashion that the community and the residents are protected.
And I think that the best way to do this is to have the curative amendment, because then we got Justin and Ron working on this data center ordinance. We're still going to work with Julie, and we're going to have, we're still going to have good discussions, and then we could say to Julie, hey, here's what we've got for the rest of the township. Would you be willing to consider this? And Julie may say yeah or no, and she's got every right to do that because they're with the validity challenge, right?
Correct.
But I think this is a great way to just say, hey, let's try and work together on this.
We could have been working together because the meetings, from my understanding, which unfortunately with work I can't attend, but we get a very good broadcast. Nick takes the time to call us and goes over everything that's been spoke about. And between what's, again, not signed, but agreements with a CBA for the school district, the property tax, from what I went through in the past with everything, I've met with Julie once here right before a meeting in the open, and they were willing to work. So we've already been on the right foot forward for once.
But the
Please,
but the curative amendment is gonna basically give us 180 days, and we've protected all the rest of Upper Mount Bethel Township. I mean, if it was another company, it doesn't have to be
But I feel
Talent.
like now we're doing this all the wrong reasons, because I feel like somebody put something forward first to try to block something, which then can go south, where this should be put in place. It doesn't need to be put in place right now. They can already do what they want because they made the final chess move because we were behind.
But our solicitor and our engineer have both said do the curative amendment.
I get that, but we should also go out and do our due diligence and do it with these go to the a data center.
We've got 180 days.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate what our solicitor just said, that if we do a curative amendment, we're saying that no, it's not applied in our zoning. So then they can open up the land mass that was deemed fit for the water treatment plant. That's another 90 acres. Or anywhere else in Mount Bethel that they might want to. We're opening a door that we might not want to be opening here.
But we've got 180 days to put the proper ordinance in
As
place.
soon as we vote on it, we're agreeing that, yeah, you can't fit here. After our zoning officer said it will fit in the I2, I3 zone, we are abiding by PA law.
Justin, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to echo what I said before. I think there need to be regulations in place for data centers. There's nothing on the books at this time. The text amendment did not speak to it 6 years ago when that was drafted. It did not speak to data centers. We're basically recommending that safeguards be put in place, regulations. It's not an anti-data center ordinance. It's not a pro-data center ordinance. It's an ordinance in place that puts regulations. So the township has some level of control.
Yep.
Justin, to do something like that properly and constructively, what is the time frame to make sure that every angle is covered and taken care of? Will it take longer than 180 days?
No. 2 to 3 months. If you can, you have meetings twice a month, maybe even more. You set up a committee. You can have a draft within a month, and then you have meetings. You present it to the public. You have discussions, and then ultimately it should go to the Planning Commission, the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. Yep. And then obviously the Board of Supervisors, yes. I'm saying have a separate committee from the Planning Commission, have a data center ordinance committee.
So
I just think this is the right process.
Their 60 days will be well before we can create an ordinance, and they will get a ruling for theirs.
But we're going to work with them. This is the proper way to do it. I'm following the advice of our engineer and our solicitor. Marty. Oh wait, Marty's first.
Ron, I'm gonna ask you this. Number one, with the action that Slate Belt Holdings has taken, okay, if we do vote yay or nay or have a vote on the other action tonight, does that take the CBA that's been discussed already, maybe not fully agreed to, but has been talked about in terms of the $50 million number that I have heard? Does that come off the table now? Because now it is now a combative. I'm just asking.
I was not part of those meetings. I was not asked to be part of those meetings, and that's not meant to be a left-handed comment. It's just the way it is. So I don't know whether or not that's off the table or not. A community benefits agreement is not something that is required in these matters. The data center can say, we're going in and we're giving you guys nothing. And so it could conceivably be off the table if we become in a combative opposition position.
That's
with
what I'm
Slate Belt
worried
Holdings.
about. I mean, I think, at least from my point of view, John, I think the correct way to do this quickly so that we can protect the rest of Upper Mount Bethel is to do it through the text amendment where it calls the I2 and I3 is for data centers. You could do that quickly, just in that change of wording.
I agree.
Okay? That takes everything else off the table. That says now it can only be done here and it can be done rather quickly. Okay. Then we can put the committee together. We can bring talent into it in terms of it being a collective to really hone in on what's going to go in the I2 and I3 zone. Okay. Because now you're going to have two things going at once. I think the quickest way to do this, to protect the rest of the township, again, is to do it through the text amendment quickly and just saying their validity of saying there is nothing. As soon as you do that, it's the I2 and I1, 2, 3 zone down along the river. That takes care of the validity of terms of what they're trying to do. That's the quickest. You can do that within the next 30 to 45 days by just changing those words.
That's if Talon wants to do that, right, Ron? I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
No,
Get with
this would be a township decision. You would say that you're going to amend the zoning ordinance to include data centers into the I2, I3 zone. That can happen quickly. I mean, that does require review by the Township Planning Commission, by the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, and then advertising and vote. But that can probably be done within a 2-month window.
But then what does that do for the rest of the township?
Well, the rest of the township is such that you now have placed data centers.
Ron, be quiet, please. Go
you
ahead.
have now placed data centers in the I2 and I3 zone. They can't go anywhere now. They have to stay in those zones because you've amended the zoning ordinance to say this is where we want these items to be.
Okay.
I'm a little frustrated just because we were negotiating on good faith with Slate Belt Holdings. The majority of the conversations that you and I had with them were about protections for the residents through the text amendment, which would be the fastest way. It was discussed many times. Nothing was ever done about it. We were trying to get all the ducks in a row for a very well thought out and presented
The conversations are still going well with Talon. They understand what we're doing, what
If
we're
we
doing.
do a curative amendment, do you think that that's going to still happen?
Wait. Yeah.
If they were to vote on this tonight and approve their vote, and if the vote went to yes, wouldn't that open the door to the holding group to say, you didn't have this in place, now we have control?
I don't know if it necessarily would give them control, but they could argue that our validity challenge is right all along. We are challenging the ordinance by saying you don't have any data center language, and now you're proving that by your motion tonight.
So their vote.
So it could be.
It would put them in a better position against us.
It could, but again, the hope would still be that the township is not going to be adversarial to the developer, that the township and the developer are still going to work together to try to arrive upon an ordinance in which the restrictions and controls are such that they're comfortable on both sides.
But if you're putting a vote up and you're going, basically, going against them, it's not going to be the same situation we have now.
Well, we're obviously of a position as to whether or not we feel that, we were negotiating in good faith with respect to this, so now why do you file this validity challenge?
Would it still be in good faith if they altered the text amendment? Wouldn't it be in better faith than bringing forth a vote like this? And my concern, John, to be honest with you, is we're going to rush into a vote like this before you guys have even really discussed it, obviously, to come to a correct answer to put our township in the best position we can be in. Yet we've been 8 months without going to look at a data center. We can't rush into votes hastily and maybe put them in a better position to come at us.
We still have a good relationship with Talon.
Until you vote on this.
What we're doing is trying to protect the rest of the township.
Really can't speak for Talon right now after this move.
All right. Thanks, Ray. Thank you.
You're trying to protect the township.
Thank you.
We appreciate that and understand that. But do you think that they're going to still feel the same way after this vote? That's what I would ask.
So we were talking about data centers for the last 2 years, And as we've been negotiating, and I think that it's been going well, and John, I think you've been saying that it's been going well as well, if that's your feeling. They just made a defensive move to file it before we had the ability to. I'm guessing from our last meeting, if filing a 45-page document within 24 hours, would be very hard. So it was probably from the last meeting when we were talking about the Low Hill Township ordinance.
I don't see, they're putting a data center there. Okay. So data center's going there. What we're doing now is we wanted to regulate them for the whole township, but they filed the validity challenge. So they've got that area. Now, all we want to do tonight is protect the rest of the township and work side by side with them.
But can't we just do that by amending the text amendment to put in writing within 45 days, data center in the I-2, I-3? We don't need to pass this. Now everybody on the farmlands are protected and hopefully still have good faith conversations with Julie.
Correct.
So I think, honestly, the quicker turnaround time is to amend the text amendment for the verbiage, which was talked about before.
Okay. Go ahead, David.
Doesn't the text amendment only pertain to the I-2, I-3 zone?
Yes, but the ruling is, the issue is that the state says that we have to allow for everything in the township. As soon as we say data centers can be in the I-2, I-3, we're good. I don't... Am I misunderstanding this?
But you can still put a data center anywhere else in the township.
Ron, am I understanding this correctly? Please.
Guys, you have to keep it down.
If you amend the text amendment, we keep saying a text amendment, it was a zoning ordinance amendment. So if you amend the zoning ordinance to say that data centers belong in I-2 and I-3, then that's where they belong. They have to comply with those standards. Maybe some of those standards may not be good enough for data centers by way of height, square footage, et cetera, but that's where they will be. They can't go somewhere else.
I have a follow-up question. If we amend the text amendment, as we were speaking about with the Slate Belt Holding meetings, to allow it, would their curative amendment basically die if it's within the 60 days?
They have not filed a curative amendment. They filed a validity challenge.
A validity
It's
challenge.
different.
Would that validity challenge be solved and null and void?
Only if they would agree. Other than that, they could still proceed.
And then I have another follow-up question. If, say, somebody else that owns a 300-acre farm in ag, we could visit this 10 years down the road, and then it could all go through, changing the zoning like Lower Mount Bethel. That's ag. Now they want to put it in industrial to do it. I mean, that's something that could still come forth, or by changing the data center, it doesn't matter. You
Right.
can...
If you put data centers in the I-2, I-3 zone, define what a data center is, put it there, then that's where it's got to
And
go.
nobody can go
Now,
into
well, I
zoning
mean,
and want to change.
Someone could always challenge it and say that.
But we have a
the s-
leg to stand
you
on
know,
at
the
that point.
standards aren't correct. But yes, you're correct. That would be a quicker way to at least do that. The only disadvantage is you don't have the 180-day wait period, if you will. But the
But
question
everybody
is
else will be protected because no matter what, it can move forward down there because of what was filed.
correct. The only time frame would be the time that you're getting to have the matter, the ordinance reviewed by planning commissions and then acting on it. So could something be filed within that 2 or 3 month period? Well, if they do, well, they do. But then after that, it's
Do we
it's
need
done.
the amount of hearings to just amend that for the verbiage?
No, all you need to do is to tell me that you want to add data centers. I will put it in as a proposal. I will then send it to Lehigh Valley Planning Commission for review. I would send it to the Township Planning Commission for review. There's a 30-day wait period to make sure they've reviewed it. And then if in fact they have, you guys will look at it. If you change it, it'll have to go back for review again. Keep that in mind. But assuming you don't change it, then I advertise for a hearing at a meeting, and then you pass it.
Hey, Stavros, I have a question for you. Is the text amendment with the vocabulary of the data centers still listed on our website? It's been there for the last year and a half. We are 2 steps ahead. We were working to finalize better issues and get something stapled down. The fact that we're bringing this up now, I don't blame them for filing a validity challenge in defense. We were negotiating in good faith, and we put together a lot of great protections and information.
John, we're still negotiating in good faith. What we're doing.
But negotiate.
Wait. Let me finish. Ron, can we change the text amendment to include data centers and then still do a data center ordinance for the rest of the township?
Well, certainly you can. What you're doing is you're adding a bit to the ordinance now to give you some protection, but then I would still say you should develop a data center ordinance. If you recall, Amazon did one for us and has been sitting on the website for, I don't know, the last year and a half. That was raised in the motion that was filed yesterday. Like, you've had this sitting here. Why aren't you doing something with it? So, yes, you could do that then.
And Justin, you'd be in favor of that if we changed the text amendment to include data centers,
And as long as it has performance standards, yes.
and then still do the curative amendment for a data center ordinance.
But wouldn't the curative amendment kind of be trumped by that, because the curative amendment's not going to put anything else anywhere from what I'm trying to put with the back and forth? Am I right then? Like, the
If you're going to change the ordinance to include data centers, then you really don't need the curative amendment anymore, because you've now put data centers in I2, I3, and that's where they have to go. You still need an ordinance to basically establish performance standards, but you don't have to now do the landowner or the municipal curative amendment, which might be a good thing, because if you do the municipal curative amendment, by the way, you can't do it again for 3 years.
We were speaking about performance records and knowledge and transparency, adding it to the text amendment. Can that be done?
Adding what, performance standards?
Yes.
You can add whatever you want to add to it. I mean, as I said earlier, and as Justin said, there are issues with respect to various items, such as, again, location where you want it. Well, want it in the industrial zone, obviously. Noise, vibration, electrical, water usage, sanitary sewer usage, building height, building size, square footage, lot area, lot dimensions, setbacks, fencing, screening, buffering, landscaping, lighting, traffic, et cetera.
A lot of that is currently in the text amendment, might need altering, but
there might need to be some tweaking for data centers, but that's going to take a little longer. If you want to just get this going, throw the data center definition into I2, I3, and then at least you've got that protected.
I know that the state is coming out with transparency laws for data centers. I don't believe it's specifically for the township. Some of the energy usage would be monitored by the PUC and not us. I don't know if we'd have the ability to get that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And as one of the speakers said, there are bills and things pending about for potential moratorium, whatever. But
thank you.
So Justin, if we amended the text amendment and put in all those performance standards, or try to see if Talon is willing to work with us or not.
Yeah.
But if we go to Talon and say, and I think they might be okay with this. Listen, we're going to amend the text amendment, and then we'll give you a copy and see what you think. And then Justin, you can add all that. And then if that doesn't work, we come back and revisit the curative amendment. But at least we take care of the data center data centers that are probably going in the I2, I3.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Again, these are policy calls. They're not legal calls, but I do believe that the supervisors should take some action. This thing has been hanging around for a year and a half, and had we looked at this earlier, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today. So
yeah. All right, then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we amend the text amendment to include higher performance standards and any updates as provided by our township engineer.
I think we need to take the curative off the table if we're going to.
Yeah,
Right?
And you said that we couldn't vote on the text amendment tonight because it wasn't on the.
Well, no, it's part, it would be considered part of the curative amendment discussion. So if you're saying we're not going to do the curative amendment, but we're going to do this, I think that would be okay.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for Justin to revise the text amendment. Is there a second?
But you didn't say to put data centers in I-2 and I-3.
It's per whatever he thinks.
That it includes only I-2.
Okay.
It's Justin.
Well, you can make a motion to amend if you want to add that, because a motion to amend takes precedence, and then you can vote on
We
that.
need to make sure we have the right
Does it
verbiage.
need to be seconded first?
There should be seconded. You should not, be able to even
Yeah, I
do a
haven't
motion
gotten
to
a
amend
second
till you get
yet.
a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion from the supervisor?
Yes, discussion. Once we get this amendment to the amendment done, are any performance standards going to be included in this?
Yeah,
He
that's what
used
you
it in the
just said.
motion.
Yeah,
Was that in your motion?
yeah. It's what Justin was talking about, performance standards, regulations, based off of Justin's advice.
Okay, once we get this amendment to the amendment done, this will only pertain to the I-2, I-3 zone. Can we come back then and pass a curative municipal amendment for the rest of the township?
I'm not sure if that will be needed if in fact you make this change.
It's going to turn out what the zoning hearing board
Guys,
renders.
keep it down, please.
Yeah, exactly.
So if if that doesn't go away with the zoning hearing board, we can come back, if they say, we have to allow data centers in the whole township, we can come back and address this again?
Yeah, I don't think the zoning board is going to say that, because I think that would be wrong. They can't say that they can be allowed everywhere. I mean, data centers are such that they're a warehouse. They use a lot of water, a lot of electric, a lot of noise, vibration. So I don't think you can put it along 611. You got to have large area for that. But I would say if you make the change and you put in the data center information, the performance standards, et cetera, you won't need anything else, because you've now changed the ordinance and everyone has to comply with it.
And any data center coming in would have to adhere to the new standards?
Correct. Unless they would want to challenge it, but anyone can always challenge an ordinance. But yes, they'd have to comply.
All right.
I actually have a slight issue with the performance analysis. If we're going to alter the text amendment due to within the 60 days to be able to get it under, to close any back door that might open up on the township and protect our township better, I think perhaps we should focus on the large items like reducing building height, perhaps increasing offsets for the residents, mandating vibration materials, or any of the large easy things. And the performance is very hard because they don't know what they're building.
Well, I would just work with Justin on that.
They don't have a user, though. It could be one large building. It could be 17 small. It's very hard to try and gauge that.
So work with Justin on that. I'm totally for that.
So I don't know exactly how to I would like to alter it not to include the performance standards, but to increase safety for the residents.
Well, let's Justin come back with his, draft, and then we can look at it and make comments to it.
But you and I have been working on this with them for the past 5 months.
Well, you can talk
on
to them.
safeguards for the residents in dealing with data centers.
We're just trying to get the motion to amend the text amendment. We can still talk to Talon. We're in good with Talon. You can give recommendations to Justin. Any of us can. And then Justin's going to present us with his amendment to the text amendment. And then we talk about, I like that, I don't like that.
I just think that the performance standards, without knowing the end user and if it's going to be a hyperscaler or if it's going to be divided up that multiple users are going to use it, then it's not a hypercenter anymore.
Justin, do you think you'd be able to address Supervisor Erler's
We can
concerns?
put, yeah, there's various definitions of different types of data centers, yes. And we
But
can have
can
it-
you have performance standards to each type and get that within 60 days?
Probably not. Not within 60 days.
I
We can
see
put
that being
together-
a struggle.
And we can put together a draft and then submit it to the Board of Supervisors, and then if you want to discuss or reach out to Talon, but at least get something.
Yeah, I
on-
think
on
we at
paper.
least get something in place.
I think
And if
the
you want something-
vocabulary is the important thing to get on there, and some of the major things and the performance standards we can work on later after we find more about what is actually the end user is going to require.
Let him draft. Let him come up with his first draft.
I would be working in concert with the solicitor. Obviously, it's an ordinance. I can give the recommended language to Ron. Ron's going to be drafting the formal document. But as far as the standards, the recommended regulations, I can work in concert with Ron on that.
And let me say that if in fact in these meetings, there have been discussions with Slate Belt Holdings and or Talon with respect to various standards, give them to us for goodness sakes. I don't know anything about what's been going on.
Okay, well, there's a motion on the floor. Judy, can you wait until after we do the motion, or no? Okay, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion
To be
say,
clear, it's going to include performance standards?
it's going to come up, Justin's going to come up with his recommendations. If he'll put performance standards in there, and then we decide.
And when I say performance standards, I mean, again, things like building setbacks, landscaping, screening, et cetera, not some
Okay.
performance
Yeah,
as such.
yeah.
A general catch-all for what?
As long as it decreases the noise and the vibration and increase the amount of distance from any resident affected, I'm all for it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Oh,
Wait, you told Judy
asked.
she could
Oh,
talk.
sorry. Everybody relax. There's like 18 people
I know.
yelling at me.
I know. The only reason
Sorry,
I'm
guys.
up here is I want to make sure I understood. Fast and easy doesn't sound like the residents will be happy with that. And I'm sorry, but do I understand now? What I was going to say before was, by having a couple, and just Jonathan admitted he's negotiating with another supervisor with Talon. We never know what's going on until the last minute. If you did the curative amendment and had 6 months of meetings and whatever, Talon would be invited. I would be very comfortable that our solicitor and our engineer, who are more professional on this, would be there. And the residents would understand what's going on as it's happening. So now, I guess we're going to hope that you're going to accept. Justin already said he's been through 4 of these before. I would think he knows a little bit about what he's talking about, or his firm. So if he's going to come in and he's got the performance standards, because I was worried you're going to just say, oh, let's just say we can have a data center in I3 or I2 and 3, and that's it. I mean, come on, guys. So if you have performance standards, I would hope you don't sit there and hack them to bits with all your little bitty nuances. I am sure if Talon wants to put a data center in here, they're going to try to help and work with us. And I thought by having the curative amendment and having public meetings with them, we'd all be talking together.
I don't think we had the vote for it.
Well, I know you didn't have no, because you got talked out of it by a few people who have vested interest in how this goes down, whether it's they've got any involvement or not, but just being the power brokers of the township. So I'm hoping that Justin gets the performance standards, all the things that would make it reasonable for us, whether I doubt it's one huge hyperscaler, but a bunch of little ones still add up to the same amount of whatever. And if they're willing to spend the money, which most of these companies aren't, to do the noise, all the abatements. And again, where's the water coming from? And where's the heat going? So keep us involved. Otherwise, you're going to have, so when's the next zoning hearing board meeting? I'm sure we'd all love to come.
Cindy, what do you know when it is?
But the fourth Tuesday, if they want to be on the agenda.
Yeah, if they want
Because
to.
they already admitted they didn't have to do 60. They could-
I don't know if you can get it advertised in sufficient time to make the August meeting. It may have to jump to September.
And they have 60 days. It doesn't mean that they have to be on the next one.
And they were willing to wait a little bit and get us all together, so we're not at this constant
Thank you, Judy.
cage fight.
Okay, can I
Can I
get
make a
no,
motion to
no.
adjourn?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Friday night.
I'll
I'd like
listen,
to make a
I'll
motion
stay
to
and
adjourn.
listen to you.
John.
I'll listen to
I
you.
have one question. I didn't say anything all night.
2 minutes.
No, I'm ending this meeting. We're
2
gonna
minutes.
Be here all
I wanna
freaking
adjourn
night.
it.
Why
I
we're
just have one question for the solicitor.
You can ask him. You can ask him after
why
after the meeting.
why we're here tonight, frankly, is Talon and Lou Pector did negotiate in good faith. They really did. They came to the table and they were willing to talk. You were there, Mr. Birmingham. Mr. Freeman demanded the $50 million. That's why we're here tonight, quite frankly.
He
That's
didn't.
what
He
it's all
didn't
about.
demand the $50 million. He didn't demand.
He didn't want $5 million a year for 10 years.
Go ask.
I have
go
a
ask,
motion to adjourn.
Go ask.
Yeah,
Towns.
yeah. You, Freeman.
All right.
You left your people.
There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. What? There's too many people going, Nick. Oh.